Norway, Sweden, Finland. I think those are the countries that they have their issues. There's a lot of xenophobia in those countries, and they have their issues, but I think economically, I like the way they do socialism.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to debunk the Swedish socialism myth.
Okay, yeah.
You all mentioned that you were socialist.
I'll take it, yeah.
So can you tell me what draws you to socialism and what country's socialism you would like to model?
That's a good one. So basically what draws me to socialism is the idea that a lot of life has been very easy for me because I grew up in a opportune life. You know, my parents had the money to send me to university, and just everything made life easier for me. And I think that wealthy people should be then paying taxes so that people who don't have the money for university can go to university for free, can have a universal basic income so they can explore their potential without being held back by the class system. So I still believe in a market economy, but I think that wealthy people should be paying more taxes so that other people have the opportunity to explore their potential, and then we get a society where we don't have people who would be very good in high positions but can't reach that because of the way that the class system's set up. And I didn't answer the country question. I think that in Sweden you get a salary for going to university, which means that basically anyone can go to university and get the job that they're passionate about and that they would excel at. Same in those countries, like Norway, Sweden, Finland. I think those are the countries that they have their issues. There's a lot of xenophobia in those countries, and they have their issues, but I think economically, I like the way they do socialism. If you try to take the cheapest option, it's gonna be bad. You gotta invest, and that does increase taxes, but if you do that just on the wealthiest percentage, that's not gonna affect their quality of life.
Yeah. So you guys are okay with an increase in taxes then?
On wealthy people, yes.
Okay. So you pointed at Sweden.
Okay.
All right. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to debunk the Swedish socialism myth.
Okay, yeah.
If that's okay with you guys.
So I'm okay with learning.
All right. So, the 1950s, they were the fourth wealthiest nation in the world.
Okay.
1950s. In the 1970s, they decided, hey, we've had all this great success with our capitalism, but let's try socialism. Let's see how it goes. So, they did things like what you guys are advocating for. They put in a whole lot of taxes on the wealthy. Huge taxes on wealth, inheritance, and income. They were okay for maybe 20 years, but they had problems that it spiraled down. So they didn't add a single net job to their private sector for 20 years. That was a huge problem. Their unemployment rate skyrocketed, like insanely. And that even when they walked back those principles of like huge taxes on the wealthy and inheritance tax and stuff like that, when they walked that back, they still had unemployment for years to come. They're doing okay now because they've walked those principles back. And in 1990, they had an immense financial crash. Like they had to jack their interest rates, the central bank jacked their interest rates to like 500% for a couple days. It was an insane economic crash. So, and they drove the wealthy from their country. That's part of the reason that they had no growth in their job market.
But also you're talking about all these economical things, but what does that really change if they're consistently in the top 5 freest countries in the world and top 5 happiest countries in the world?
Well, maybe they weren't in the 1990s. They are now because they walked things back. They're a successful country now because of that.
Current Swedish policies.
Yeah, but right now they don't have any wealth redistribution.
Okay.
They have much higher taxes than they do here, and 80% of what you're taxed goes back to you during your lifetime. It's redistributed through the rest of your lifetime. 80% of what you're taxed. 20% will go to someone else. So like there's really no wealth redistribution, and I feel like that's what people want to advocate for in socialism. They want to see wealth redistribution from the rich because they fear the rich. They see the rich as like privileged.
Yeah, I don't think we're saying it was a perfect system. It's just kind of like those modeled examples of things that we can do to the benefits. Obviously, like you're saying, there's high rates of like joblessness in this job markets. That's the same problem we're facing here in Canada, right? That's why you like we're talking to us about the job market, right? Is we see such high levels of people not being able to afford jobs. So it is also a universal problem that we see everywhere in our capitalist system, in more countries that have more progressive policies. Yeah, I think that's a universal problem that definitely we know won't be solved with, you know, implementing a few more progressive viewpoints, right?
It's the small things like the university being free, and I think they have some basic income thing. I don't know exactly. It's the small things that, you know, you're not going to fix with the capital policies.
Yeah.
The only way in which you can redistribute effectively the wealth is by destroying the incentives to have wealth. And the question is, what is the way, what is the system which will offer those people who are so unlucky as to be born without good positions, what is the system which will offer them the greatest opportunity?